This is for all you multi-talented, multitasking, multi-everything people out there. Take it away.
Find your glory, write your story, fearless feet will carry you. Time you own it, take your moment, be a fire burning through. Hustling from night until morning, grinding it out, it won't be long. Feel your power, it's your hour, you inspire, you are strong.
Enjoy your Zoa. No applause? You're all fired.
Now that you've reached the stage in your life where quality television is important, Nubian TV is a black network that speaks to your lifestyle. Nubian TV is the world's first digital network devoted to the upscale and political lifestyles of black people. Nubian TV's programming includes politics, travel, fashion, food, automotive, arts and culture, civil rights, music, and more. Watch now on Amazon Fire TV, Roku, or watch globally at nubiantv.net. Nubian TV, it's what you want to watch. Now that
Come with me if you want to live a more delicious life.
Oh, maybe we should get in the van.
In this world, we don't get to control much. The past, male pattern baldness.
What geese?
Got one right now. The urge to puff that bubble wrap. But there is one thing we do get to choose every single day: what we eat. Welcome to the Sonic Department of Research and Deliciousment. We have everything you want, didn't know you wanted, and some things you didn't know were possible. Because we believe if you're not having fun, you're not living free. So come on, let's live a little.
Hey, good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Money! Are you ready? They are ready. Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
It's always a good time. That's what the show's about.
That's good.
Really good. Very good.
Coming in hot, Jimmy, coming in hot.
It's far from elementary.
Oh, good morning, America. I'm not going to try to strut like Michael or anything.
I have known George a long, long time.
Have you ever gotten him to dance?
Look at that face.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'll be there.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in.
That tells you something when Snoop Dogg's in. Michael, George,
Where? Ginger.
Prepare for a journey beyond imagination, beyond belief, beyond anything you've experienced before. Universal Epic Universe, a new theme park where you'll step through extraordinary portals to 5 immersive worlds. Prepare for a cosmic voyage of discovery, an isle of fire-breathing excitement, a shadowy world of monsters and mystery, new wonders in the wizarding world, and a new way to play. Plus the splendor of a magnificent resort hotel overlooking the park. It's all new excitement at Universal Orlando Resort. A week's worth of vacation thrills with 4 amazing theme parks, a variety of spectacular themed hotels, and incredible dining and entertainment. It's all at Universal Orlando Resort, where you'll find new adventures every day. Explore the astonishing worlds of Universal Epic Universe at Universal Orlando Resort.
Well, hello to you, and you. Welcome in to another edition of Braylon's Virtual Tour Live. Glad to have all of you here. I think in my YouTube studio, rather, when I go to my live tab, I've done over 600 live streams, 2,100 videos. This live stream is about to be unlike any one of those tours I've ever done. Child, like I said in my description box, there are not enough doors Marvin Sapp can ask for. There's not enough doors Marvin Sapp could ask for to be closed. With that being said, higher is waiting, lower is available, but either way, we are live on tour. Let me take down this iconic intro here. You see the virtual tour background? Yes, you do. You hear that virtual tour music? Yes, you do. And then there is me. Hey, everybody. Ooh, welcome in, child. A lot going on, y'all. Let's get to the getting and doing what we do. Today was the first day of Diddy's trial, the opening statements, that is. We're going to kick it off with NBC News here. Let's get to it. Live updates. First day of testimony in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial ends. Combs faces 5 counts in a trial that is set to last 8 to 10 weeks. Takeaways from day one of Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial. Combs faces 5 criminal counts, 1 count racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs has ferociously denied the allegations against him. Prosecutors alleged in their opening remarks that Combs used his fame and power to run a criminal enterprise that facilitated his freak-offs, drug-fueled G's involving paid ex-workers. He allegedly used violence and coercion to force the participation of victims in the freak-offs, including ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. The defense, in its opening statement, admitted Combs was jealous and occasionally violent, but insisted all of the alleged victims participated willfully in his sex life. The defense said that his physical abuse and love of baby oil was not federal crimes. The first witness called to testify was a former hotel security guard who said he responded to the 2016 incident where video showed Combs beating Cassie, or mollywopping as we call in our community, at the Intercontinental Hotel. Prosecutors called a male escort to the stand who said he was paid to have sex with Cassie between 2012 and 2013. He testified he witnessed Combs beating Cassie on at least one occasion and heard him yelling during a separate incident. So I'm going to just take you from here all the way down. Male escort will return to witness stand tomorrow. Daniel Phillip, the male escort who testified last day, will return to continue cross-examination tomorrow. The judge ordered Phillip not to speak to his attorney even overnight before he comes back to testify again. So basically, at this point, Daniel Phillip is on his own. My Lord Jesus. Day one testimony complete. Court was adjourned just before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Judge R.N. Surin thanked jurors and said he'll see them again at 9:15 a.m. on Tuesday. The day ended with the defense cross-examining Daniel Phillip, a stripper who testified that he was paid thousands of dollars to have sex with Cassie as Combs watched. Now the jurors Lord Jesus, child. Here we go. Sex worker recalls telling Cassie, "You need to get help." As if there was any other time Philip could recall Combs yelling at Cassie. Testified there was an incident he could hear while the couple was in a bedroom at the Access Hotel. "I heard her yelling, 'I'm sorry, I'm sorry.' Someone was being slammed around the room," Philip said. "And I looked around the corner. I saw Mr. Combs walk out of the hotel altogether without clothes. He might have had a towel on, rather." Cassie then ran out the room and jumped into Philip's lap, shaking and terrified. He said Philip said he recalled wondering why Cassie stayed with someone who was beating her like this. "She basically tried to convince me it's okay, I'll be okay," Philip said. And I said, "It's not okay. You need to get help." Sex worker describes witnessing Combs assault Cassie. Philip said he once saw Combs assault Cassie because she did not come to the rapper's side as soon as he called. "I heard him yell out, 'Babe, come here,'" Philip said, adding that Cassie then asked for a moment more time as she finished working on her computer. Combs came out of the room. "I saw the liquor bottle fly past her, and I hit the wall, he told jurors. He grabbed her by her hair and dragged her by the hair into the bedroom. She was screaming, and he pulled her into the bedroom, and what I heard sounded like him slapping her." Philip said Cassie apologized, but that Combs responded. Now, I'm past the 10-minute mark, so I'm just going to say the full statement so you can get the context. "Bitch, when I tell you to come, you come now, not later." Jesus. I did say that this case was garbage and a lot's about to be dumped, right? I did say that. Philip said he was shocked and terrified, but that he didn't know what to do. He said he did not intervene, that there were 4 or 5 bodyguards in the other room. Stripper says Combs urged him to keep quiet. Philip told jurors that Combs made it clear that he was to keep quiet about the alleged work. He asked for my driver's license and took a picture of it and said, "It's just for insurance. That if I spoke about to anybody, I understood it to be that he was threatening me," he said. Sex worker alleges Combs gave instructions during sex with Cassie. Philip told the court that Combs would often instruct him on how to have sex with Cassie. "He started really directing us after the second time," Philip testified. Some of those instructions allegedly included role play scenarios, when to make an O face or to release, where Combs wanted Philip to release, and what sex acts to perform. According to Philip, Combs would occasionally stop him so that Combs could have sex with Cassie. He also alleged that Combs offered him drugs, but Philip said he didn't use substances. Philip described one time in which he said it appeared Cassie might have been under the influence of drugs. Combs opened the door. He said, "I don't think this is going to happen today," Philip said. It looked like she was completely passed out, half on the couch and half off the couch. Male stripper said he had sex in front of Combs. Philip described a 2012 or 2013 gig when he was paid a few $1,000s to have sex with Cassie while Combs watched. The prosecution witness said he was expecting to do a striptease and leave with $200 on a tip. "At that point, she gave me a few $1,000s and said she would tip me when I leave," Philip told jurors. "We ended up having sex, rubbed baby oil on each other for a couple of minutes. Combs was in a corner relieving himself, rather. After they had sex, Philip said Cassie gave him a couple $1,000 more." Male escort called to the stand as a second witness. The prosecution has called a new witness, Daniel Phillip, who worked as a male escort, and says he received money from Cassie to have sex in around 2012 or 2013. Guard 100% thought, let me move over a little bit. Jesus Christ. Guard 100% thought Combs holding up money was a bribe. Combs' attorney, Brian Still, took up questioning Flores on the cross-examination and pushed the bodyguard his belief that Combs was trying to bribe him. As far as the bribe, Mr. Combs held up a $100 bill. "You took that as a bribe. You used the word bribe." Still asked 100% Flores answered later, affirming the same belief when asked about the sack of money Combs held up. Steele also pushed Flores about the report he made for the hotel at the time of the 2016 incident. He asked Flores why he didn't include Combs allegedly telling Cassie she could not leave. Flores responded he didn't think that was a significant fact to include. I will say this. For that security guard, right, to be in that compromising of a situation, that has to be horrifying. Has to be horrifying. And he did what he needed to do for the hotel he worked at. He was not about to lose his job because Diddy could not handle himself accordingly. So he was frazzled. He was in a disarray. He was probably looking for a way out. He was all confused. So there is that there. Okay. My Lord Jesus. We still have more updates here. Former hotel guard took cell phone video after Cassie incident to show his wife. Flores testified they took some cell phone videos after responding to the incident, the hotel incident rather, between Cassie and Combs. He told the court that he made a video because he did not think his wife would believe him if he went home and told her what happened. One video showed him motioning to Cassie to go into the room, and another includes him picking up a phone and discussing the incident with his supervisor. The former hotel guard testified that he had reviewed the video of the assault before writing the incident report. Flores said he didn't call the police because Cassie wanted to leave and no one was pressing charges. Videos of Cassie's 2016 hotel assault played at trial. Videos from the March 5th, 2016 incident where Combs was seen being Cassie in the hallway of the Intercontinental Hotel were officially submitted to evidence. Prosecutors approached Flores with a thumb drive, which the former hotel guard said contained 5 videos from that morning. He was asked to describe the videos as he watched them on the witness stand. Flores described one video, said Cassie comes down the hall and puts down a bag before Combs comes up behind her and a towel slams her in the head and drags her to the floor, starts to drag her back to the room. In another video of the same hallway, Flores said Combs barrels down the hallway towards Cassie and tries to grab the phone from her. Combs tried to take phones of hotel security but was pinned to the wall, former guard testifies. After describing the sack of money Combs offered him as a bribe, Flores then testified that Combs attempted to take the phones of hotel security guards. He came to the door, closed the door behind him, and he grabbed the phone my colleague was holding because he thought he was being recorded. He eventually gave the phone back. Flores said, "We said we are not recording you," and de-escalated the situation. He continued. Flores then said that when Combs tried to grab his phone, he pinned Combs to the wall. Combs supporters slept outside overnight. At least 20 fans of Combs camped out overnight ahead of the court doors opening at 8 a.m., including some who slept in tents. The circus-like atmosphere, dozens of camera spectators outside, suggests this trial has a ton of interest from the public. Oh, I'm sure. The turnout serves as a stark contrast to the relatively muted turnout for former Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein's retrial. Former guard says Combs offered him a sack of money not to talk about Cassie hotel incident. Flores testified that he was on shift the day at the Intercontinental Hotel in March 2016, where surveillance video showed Combs dragging and kicking Cassie in the hallway. The incident occurred around 11 a.m. and Flores was called to a woman in distress on the 6th floor. He testified that he recognized Combs, who was in a towel, but did not recognize Cassie at the time. She was scared. Flores testified she was in the corner, hood on, covered up. I couldn't see her face. She was pretty much in the corner. On the floor was a destroyed flower vase. And as we remember that video, Combs took that vase or that vase and just threw it down the hallway. The former hotel guard said he put his body in the doorway and stood for a few minutes until Cassie left the room. Started to leave, and Combs called for me. Flores said he had a sack of money. He threw it at me and said, "Don't tell anyone." Trial resumes. hotel security guard, first witness to take the stand. The government called first witness of its case LAPD officer Israel Flores, the one who once worked in hotel security. He was on duty the day Combs was caught on camera attacking then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in the hallway of a Los Angeles hotel in March of 2016. Let's take a break for a minute and watch this, because this is cool.
The first witness is now on the stand in the federal sex trafficking trial for Sean Diddy Combs in New York City after final jury selection and opening statements this morning. The prosecution portrayed the music mogul as the leader of a criminal conspiracy sex trafficking ring, while the defense rejected that, saying trying to turn Combs' consensual sexual relationships into sex trafficking, quote, will not work. Combs pled not guilty to charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Joining me now, Christy Greenberg, former SDNY Criminal Division Deputy Chief, former federal prosecutor, and MSNBC legal analyst. So, Christy, you were inside the courtroom. Tell us what it was like in there.
Well, it was packed. There were 2 rows full of Sean Combs' family and friends, as well as other members of the media and other members of the public that were very interested to learn what was happening. You had 2 opening statements that portrayed a very different image of who Sean Combs is. You had the prosecutors saying that this man ran a criminal enterprise for over 20 years, that he engaged in using force and coercion in order to make 2 separate victims engage in these commercial sex acts, these freak-offs that they did not want to participate in. And then you had the other side, which is the defense, having Sean Combs stand up and show a different side of him and say, look, he's indefensible in terms of committing domestic violence, but that doesn't mean he's a sex trafficker. That doesn't mean he engaged in racketeering, and trying to make this distinction and really focusing on the victims and trying to turn the jurors' focus to the victims and say, look, they were strong, capable women, and they made a choice. Now, I think that will ultimately be a difficult thing for the defense to show, because of all the evidence the prosecutors in the opening statement said that they had, showing that actually these women really weren't making a choice. You have the video of Cassie where, Sean Combs is beating her, striking her, dragging her out of that hallway video when she was trying to leave one of these freak-off sessions. That doesn't exactly look like a choice. We also heard from the prosecutors that there are text messages where one of the victims, known as Jane, is saying, I don't want to engage in these freak-offs. I don't want to do this. And then there are apparently also recorded calls that we are going to hear between Sean Combs and Jane, in which Sean Combs is offering her money and telling her to say that she wanted to engage in these freak-offs. None of those pieces of corroborating evidence sounds like these women had a choice. So I think that is going to be really critical evidence for the prosecution. And just one last point, even if there is the sex trafficking charges, but there are 2 charges, one for each victim, of transporting these women across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. Those charges do not require force, fraud, or coercion. So consenting adults traveling across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, if he did that, he is guilty. So these arguments about the women had a choice, they're not really a defense to these transportation for prostitution charges. I think those charges in particular will be very difficult for the defense to overcome.
Let me ask you about the jury. As I understand, 8 men, 4 women, all from Manhattan, the Bronx, Westchester County, north of Manhattan. Includes everyone from an investment analyst, a physician's assistant, scientist, UN worker. I think several of them said that they've seen the video of Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura in an LA hotel hallway. I wonder what your thoughts are on this jury and its makeup.
Well, as you said, more men than women. That's generally not what you'd want to see when you're prosecuting sex trafficking cases. You'd like to see more women on that jury. It is a very diverse jury.
Lord.
Both in their backgrounds, in their jobs, in their educational backgrounds. So bringing
let me pause it here. 8 men, 4 women, professions, investment analyst, physician assistant, massage therapist, deli clerk, scientist, social worker, architect, UN worker, residents of Manhattan, the Bronx, Westchester. Several said they seen CNN, Ventura, LA, Villa, alternates 4 men, 2 women. That is
a lot of different experiences, but yes, they've all seen a very critical piece of evidence for the most part, and the defense acknowledged that in the opening, that yes, many of you have seen this video, and please keep an open mind and please try to separate what you've seen before coming into this courtroom from what you're going to see in the courtroom.
That is remarkable composure, can I just say, with all of those emergency vehicles going behind you. Christy Greenberg, lawyer and reporter extraordinaire, thank you so much. I know you'll keep us posted as this trial goes on.
So that was that there. Defense loses bid to keep some evidence out of testimony. Before lunch began, Combs' attorney spoke to the judge about objections they had regarding evidence that the prosecution wanted to submit into evidence along with its witnesses. Comey told the judge the witness is a security guard who worked at the Intercontinental Hotel who testified to incident reports and personal observations following incident between Combs and Victim 1. Now, for those of you who do not know, why they're naming them Victim 1, Victim 2, Victim 3, to be able to give them anonymity. Now, Victim 3 has been missing for a good minute, and the trial was supposed to start with Victim 1, 2, and 3, but it looks like they continued on without Victim 3. Hopefully, Victim 3 will come forth. Also, too, you got to think about this, right? To come out against one of the biggest names in hip hop, in music, in culture, in entertainment, in society, and not know what the other side of going up against him is going to be like for you has to be terrifying, right? So, as many people will say, Victim 3, why don't you come out? Everything will be okay, this, that, and the third. You do not know what Diddy could do. I mean, hell, he called one victim 50 times in one day, right? So I pray for Victim 3. I pray for all the victims. I pray for the jury as well, because Diddy will definitely dig into these jurors and try to intimidate them somehow just to get out of this. Like I said, when he settled the lawsuit with Cassie Ventura, I remember the very specific day because it was Make It Make Sense sister on YouTube. It was her first live, and I think it was me and Make It Make Sense sister on at the same time. But I think I was the first one to report on the fact that Diddy settled the lawsuit with Cassie the next day, the very same day, right? Or at least 24 hours later. But yeah, like I said, this trial is supposed to last 8 to 10 weeks. Listen. Combs' attorney Brian still argued that the witness had no personal knowledge of the incident and included speculation. Still told the judge the documents have prejudicial elements and doesn't believe that they are trustworthy. Sumerian ruled against Combs' attorneys and said that so as long as the government established a foundation, exhibits would be allowed in evidence. I mean, really? So, to the defense team, are y'all rabbit ass minds? This dude worked at the Intercontinental Hotel when everything went down. Honestly, really? Y'all are that desperate for nobody to speak so that way he can get off? I know it's right for your client, but that video was not doctored. It was not butchered. It was not, cut up. Paraphrasing Paraphrasing Usher's, I'm so caught up. Like, y'all have to be out y'all rabbit ass minds. Y'all have to be out your rabbit ass minds. You have to be. You have to be. You have to be. For you to think that nobody has the right to speak when y'all motherfucking client has over 400 cases on his ass. You have to be out your ever-loving mind. Like I said, when they started jury selection, Sean's John is on trial. Sean's John is on trial. Sean's John is on trial here. I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. The circus is in full swing outside court. There's a circus like atmosphere outside U.S. District Court in Lower Manhattan with dozens of cameras roaming around looking for family members who stepped outside for lunch. The defendant's son, Justin Combs, was chatting with supporters of his father who had been attending court long before a day. They were then swarmed by TV news cameras, and he was forced to escape in a square van with other family members. For the suspected and then today we have a few more answers. Prosecutors has provided pseudonyms for two of the victims. Victim 2 is referred to as Jane, and victim 4 is referred to as Mia. During opening statements, Jane was described as a single mother who Combs met in 2020. Prosecutors said she fell in love with Combs. Fell in love with Combs quickly, had a non-exclusive relationship with him, which included alleged abuse and corruption.
An ethical muster.
Well, they have kind of rolled it out. A senior Justice Department official tells NBC News that
Okay. So if we think about a non-exclusive relationship, right? Now, I'm just going to type this in. Young Miami and Diddy started dating in the summer of 2021. Okay. So, with that being said, it very well could be, right? That Young Miami is going on the stand, potentially. We don't know that for sure, but they said this right here from People Magazine, people.com. Diddy and Young Miami relationship timeline. The two admit that they're dating, but they're still single. Now let's go back to NBC News. Prosecutor said she fell in love with Combs quickly and had a non-exclusive relationship with him. Non-exclusive. So, Young Miami said that they were dating, but they're single. So I am going to assume, right from this space right here and right now, that Young Miami will take the stand. We don't know if that's going to be the case, but that could be the case, right? That could very, very, very well be the case. Give me a moment, y'all. I'm just looking at something. Just looking up something else. Just looking up something. All right. Just wanted to look up something, y'all. My bad. So, Mia was described as a former personal assistant who worked for Combs for years, according to the prosecution. During openings, she allegedly is just beginning to grapple with the times Combs forced himself on her and wanted to keep the secret to her grave. Now, if I remember correctly, there was a case where there was this woman. She was in a studio, right? It was like a throwback picture of her in the studio, right? And she wanted her name redacted. And the judge said the only way that this case is going to go forward, right, is if you reveal your name. Now, we don't know if that person is also going to be a witness to this trial or not, but just wanted to bring that into the timeline. Combs and his family kept their eyes on the jury. I'm sure they did. The jury, sorry, I'm just getting real comfortable because we're gonna be here a while. Combs and his family kept their eyes on the jury. The jury had the Combs family undivided attention during the opening statement. Combs' mother and children all had their bodies turned right to face the jury box, keeping their eyes on the jury. And Combs' defense attorney this morning, Combs to focus on facing the jury, but didn't provide a reaction himself. His only notable moment was when Garagos introduced him standing up when she said, "This is Sean Combs." You know, I know you got to do that to submit this for the case, but this was like a moment of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, when Johnny Carson found out that his cigarette box broke. And so Don Rickles was the one that did. So he went over to the next sound stage, and Don Rickles said, "Johnny Carson." And Johnny Carson said, "They know who I am." Like, really, Mark Garagos? This is the same dumb fuck that said, and I quote, "One bottle of baby oil goes a long way." That's the same dumb fuck that said that. Jurors take first lunch break of the trial. The jury was excused for its first lunch break of the trial. They returned at 1:15 p.m. Eastern, and possible testimony once the defense prosecutors and judge hash out evidentiary issues. Defense ends opening statement by telling the jury not to judge as the moral police. Garagos ended the defense opening statements by asserting that the victims, including Cassie, were motivated to lie because they were seeking a money grab. Sir, the case was settled the next day, sir. Stop the cat. They will tell you they were victimized. Ask yourself, what was their motive? Garagos said the answer is simple: money. Combs' attorney insisted that Combs was conspiring with no one the drugs that were obtained for personal use. Combs also did not knowingly pay his sex workers to travel for commercial sex acts. His lawyer insisted it's money for time. He was paying money for that experience. Garagos said no to the specific charge. Garagos told the jury that they are not here to judge as moral police, but only to see if the evidence meets the burden for the charges. You know, this is the thing with me, right? And since we're talking, right, I'm just kind of wondering, would Mark Garagos, right? Would Mark Garagos, want his daughter to go through that, right? That's my question. That's my question. That is my question now. Sorry, y'all. I'm just looking at some stuff here. My Lord Jesus. I'm just looking at some stuff, y'all. Just looking up some stuff, y'all. Give me a moment, y'all. I'm just looking up some stuff. Hey, one person, welcome in. I'm just talking about the Diddy trials, just looking up some stuff here. Glad to have you here. So let's roll on here. Defense alleged victims were willing participants. There were no trafficking. There was no trafficking. Combs' defense told jurors it will show how his accusers were not forced into sex and they could have parted with him at almost any time. She was a willing participant in their sex life, Garagos said, of alleged victim and likely prosecution witness Cassie Ventura. The accuser, known as Jane, had her eyes open during her relationship with Combs, according to the defense. After a period of time, the relationship becomes mostly sexual. Garagos said she was a capable, strong adult woman. Just the gaslighting of it all for me. Cassie left Combs when she realized she would never be his wife after the Kim Porter funeral. The defense says Cassie ended her relationship with Combs because she realized that she would never mean as much to him as his former girlfriend, Kim Porter. Combs' attorney, Tenny Garagos, alleged in her opening statement. Garagos told the jury that when Porter died of pneumonia in 2018, by the way, Al B. Shore is going to testify in this trial to say that Diddy unalived Kim Porter. That is allegedly what's going to happen there. Cassie went to the funeral to support Combs when Combs said Porter was his soulmate. Cassie realized all the things she would not be. She wanted to be Combs' wife. Garagos said Porter and Combs had an on and off relationship for a decade and shared multiple children. Garagos alleged they were years of jealousy at the Sarah Combs' relationship with Cassie and Porter. Cassie then left on her own terms when it was clear she would never be that, never be his wife, never be the love of his life. Garagos added, You may know his love of baby oil. Is that federal crime? No. The defense won't fight allegations that Combs has committed acts of domestic violence or use baby oil during sex, saying none of those actions amount to potential federal crimes being adjudicated. Here, Combs is not proud of that, but he will own that he has a bad temper and sometimes he gets so angry and jealous that he gets out of control. Really? Because I have a bad temper. Sometimes I get angry and jealous. But I've never blown up anybody's car. What the fuck, man? Like, really? This is what we're doing? I've never called somebody and said, stay away from my woman, otherwise there's consequences, like P. Diddy did to Michael B. Jordan, allegedly. Like, come on now. Oh, my God. This is your defense team? They just as stupid as your ass is. Good Lord Jesus. Jericho said during the defense opening statement, we will not shy away from the things he did. Sounds like you're trying to, but we will not own the things he did not do, she told jurors. Is he physical? He is physical. He is a drug user. You may know his love of baby oil. Is that a federal crime? No. Combs faces criminal counts that includes alleged racketeer conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Defense begins opening. Combs is a complicated man. Tanny Garagos previewed the defense case and began by acknowledging that Combs is a complicated man, but this is not a complicated case. Garagos said Combs' life is about real life relationships, but accused prosecutors are trying to turn them into a racketeering sex trafficking case that will not work. You will hear why people stayed around him and why it matters. He gave people opportunity, chances, Garagos said, and that they did not always like what he did or how he behaved, but they truly loved him, and by being with him, they were part of something special. The only people who knew about a racketeering enterprise were the prosecutors, Garagos said. This case is about Sean Combs' private, personal sex life. The government has no place in his private bedrooms. They say it's not about his private sex life, but the evidence will show that it is. Government wraps up opening a statement. Sean Combs is guilty. Prosecution told jurors that after all evidence is heard several weeks from now, they will have no choice but to find Combs guilty on all charges. I ask you to do three things, Johnson said. Pay close attention to the evidence, follow the judge's instructions on the law, and please use and trust your common sense. She concluded her opening statement for the United States. If you do all that, you will reach the only verdict that the defendant, Sean Combs, is guilty. Very well said. Combs' personal assistant, Mia, to play a role at trial. Prosecutors in their opening statement said jurors will also hear from Mia, suing them for Combs' personal assistant, worked with him for years. She is just beginning to grapple with times he forced himself on her sexually. She wanted to keep the secret to her grave. Johnson said they worked punishing hours for the defendant without sleep. They were expected to keep quiet what they saw and heard in the defendant's homes, Johnson added. Single mom Jane among Combs' victims, prosecutors say. Single mother whom prosecutors called Jane was allegedly under Combs' total control, forcing her to have unprotected sex with escorts and do drugs, prosecutors said. Jane and Combs met in 2020 when she quickly got caught up in the defendant's web of abuse. She wanted the escorts to wear condoms, but he would not let them. He would make her take drugs. She broke down, took ecstasy. Johnson said one time he vomited. He told her to hurry up and get back in the room where there was an escort. Wait a minute. Like I said, everything's alleged in my opinion for entertainment purposes only here. I'm just trying to look up the statement here. Because I swear I thought that I heard. Now, I thought Young Miami told the ladies to not, to wear condoms. That's what I thought I heard at one point in time. Child, this is getting crazy. Combs and bodyguards tried to cover up Cassie video, prosecutors say. Combs and his bodyguards attempted to cover up the surveillance video of him assaulting Cassie at Los Angeles Hotel hallway in 2016 by trying to get what they thought was the only copy of the footage. Johnson told jurors she alleges the defendant gave a brown paper bag full of $100,000 in cash to a security guard to broker a deal. Nothing could put his public image at risk, Johnson said to Combs, adding they cover up brutal beatings while keeping Cassie locked up for days. The video key evidence of trial was made public by CNN a year ago. Government Combs directed wild days-long freak-offs. Prosecution warned jurors to brace themselves for troubling evidence of freak-offs. Days-long drug-filled G's allegedly orchestrated by Combs. Some of the details of what happened to them will be hard to hear, Johnson said. Of victims he used lies, drugs, threats, and violence to force and coerce. First Cassie, later Jane to have sex with him in front of male escorts. There were allegedly no borders that could limit Combs' desire for these acts. He directed freaks off week after week around the country, sometimes out of the country, Johnson added. Cassie suffered beatings and forced sex acts. Prosecutors allege Cassie's Combs' former girlfriend tried to run away from years of abuse, but was threatened by the release of videos of sex act. Combs forced her to participate in. The prosecution alleged her life and safety depended on keeping him happy, Johnson said in her opening statement. The singer met Combs when she was a 19-year-old for a hit song. Combs allegedly began his abuse of her early on and forced Cassie to regularly participate in his freak-offs, where sex parties that often included sex workers. Cassie tried her first freak-off because she loved him and wanted to make him happy. If Cassie didn't do what he wanted, the consequences were severe, Johnson said. Johnson listed off a range of allegations of abuse that Cassie endured between 2006 and 2018, including the being that was seen on hotel surveillance video and made public by CNN. Our Lord Jesus. Hey, three people, welcome in. Glad to have you here. We are live on tour. Talking about the Diddy case. It was the first day. Was the very first day of what's going on here. So yes, indeed. All right. Holmes was the king of self-serving criminal empire, prosecutor says. Prosecutors want to paint Combs as the kingpin of the criminal enterprise, accusing him of using a vast network of employees to carry out any number of illegal acts. Sometimes he likes to call himself the king, expected to be treated like one, Johnson said, to cater to all his desires. She added, he used companies to manipulate women, forcing them with male escorts to have sex while he watched. He and his inner circle make sure he got everything that he wanted. I do believe in the case with Cassie that Cassie did go online to find escorts and stuff like that. So I think those were the companies that, this prosecutor was talking about. Combs had his inner circle help cover up crime after crime, prosecution says in an opening statement. Prosecutor Emily Johnson began her opening statement by describing Combs as a larger-than-life figure who ran a criminal enterprise enabled by an inner circle of employees. One example Johnson gave was a night that he was on the hunt for his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, after learning she had a new man in her life. Johnson alleged that Combs forced an employee into an SUV to take him to the new man's home. When he finally found her, he beat her brutally, kicking her in the back and flinging her around like a rag doll, Johnson said. He had to make sure that he had control over Cassie once again. So he threatened her and said she defies her again, he will release video of them having sex without escorts. Johnson told the jury souvenirs of some of the most humiliating nights of her life. This is just the tip of the iceberg in 20 years of Combs using his inner circle to cover up crime after crime, Johnson said. Judge's orders to jurors have no opinion, don't use social media. Ooh, Judge, it's 2025, good sir. But okay, Judge Samirian reminded the newly impaneled jury to form absolutely no opinions during the trial, and definitely not supposed to say anything about social media. I'm ordering you not to talk about this with anyone, he said. Do not form any opinion till all evidence is in. Judge hopes jury can be done by July 4th. So that is pretty much what. Let's see. Yeah, that's about 2 months and a half, pretty much. So by Friday, July 4th weekend, they should be done. U.S. District Judge Court Marvin Sapp thanked jurors for their service and targeted the 4th of July for the possible end of Combs' trial. The jurist said he hopes the trial could be done by Independence Day, though it could go longer, but I don't expect that. Well, the jury's daily schedule will feel like breakfast at 8:30 a.m. and a 30-minute lunch break later in the day. The judge said, "I will make every effort to move the trial along." He added, "We will keep your names, identity, and confidence that personal information will not be made public, and this in no way is unusual." So here is the jury, everybody. Like I said, 12 people, the main people, an additional six people who may be asked to step in alternates, includes residents from Manhattan, the Bronx, and Westchester, and includes an investment analyst, a physician assistant, a massage therapist, a deli clerk, a scientist, social worker, and an architect. Several have said they've seen the video of Combs assaulting Catherine Turner in the LA hallway. Juror number 2 is a 69-year-old male who works as an actor and massage therapist. He lives in Manhattan. Juror number 5, a 31-year-old male who works as an investment analyst. He lives in Manhattan. Juror 25, a 51-year-old male who has a PhD in molecular biology and neuroscience. He lives in Manhattan. Juror 28, a 30-year-old female who working as a deli clerk. She lives with her mom and brother in the Bronx. Juror 55, a 42-year-old female who is an aide at a nursing home. She lives in Manhattan. Juror 58, 41-year-old male who works in communications and a correctional facility. She lives in the Bronx. Juror 75, a 68-year-old male who is retired from a bank. He lives in Westchester. Juror 116, a 68-year-old male who is retired from working at a telecommunications company. He lives in Westchester. Juror 160, a 43-year-old female who works as a physician assistant. She lives in Westchester. Juror 184, a 39-year-old male who works as a social worker. He lives in the Bronx. Juror 201, 67-year-old male who works as a logistics analyst who lives in Westchester. And juror 217, 74-year-old female who works as a treatment coordinator. She lives in Manhattan. Jury has set 8 men, 4 women. Prosecutors and defense lawyers agreed to a jury of 8 men and 4 women, paving the way for opening statements shortly. 6 alternates, 4 men, 2 women, have also been seated as the court is in a brief recess as both sides prepare to deliver their opening statements. Emily Johnson is set to open. For the government, Tenny Garrett goes for the defense. Combs' team complains about prosecutors removing black jurors. Defense attorney Mark Fanello questioned whether the government will potentially go out of its way to keep black jurors out of the box. And Fanello said 7 black people have been removed, which leads me to a pattern, and they need to give reason for strikes. We have conducted ourselves without any bias. Prosecutor Brian Comey responded, the jury is diverse with a number of non-white panelists. The judge denied the motion from Fanello, saying the defendant failed to show discrimination. So there it is there. And that's basically that there. I'll finish out the updates here, then we'll take a commercial break because this was a whole lot. Let's see here. Courts in session. Attorneys finalized the jury selection. The judge entered the courtroom with greetings for all, including good morning to you, Mr. Combs. There was no other business to attend to, so both sides are going through who they would like to strike from the juror pool. Given the length of this trial, parties agreed to give some time to see if anyone will get cold feet. Now that the case has been called, both sides' attorneys will weed through the remaining pool to secure a jury of few alternates. Delay as judge meet with both sides attorneys in chambers. Lead prosecutor Maureen Comey and defense attorney Mark Effinello enter the judge's chambers. The courtroom is waiting on Judge Arden Serenian before each side can finalize jury selection and give opening statements. This was at 9:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Combs greets his family with hugs and a kiss. After 8 months of federal prison, Combs arrived for his first day of trial in a beige sweater over a white collar shirt and khaki pants. He greeted every member of his family with a hug before sitting down long beside his attorneys. After settling in his seat, Combs still turned around to blow a kiss toward his mother and children. Janice Combs, Combs' mother, is a presence in the courtroom. She made sure to sit in the middle of her grandchildren, with Combs' twin daughters on her right side and Combs' son on the left. Combs put on reading glasses and poured himself a glass of water as the parties prepared to begin. Combs' children and mother arrived for the first day of trial. Combs' son, teenage daughters arrived at the federal courthouse this morning, exiting a black van as they walked through a sea of onlookers blocked off by police. His sons, Christian, Justin, and Quincy, first stepped out into the crowd before Combs' three daughters, Chance, Jesse, and Delilah. It appeared that the girls held hands, squeezed through the small walkway made by officers of NYPD officers. Combs' mother, Janice Combs, was also in attendance and sat with the children on the second row. The big legal personalities in this trial, in addition to Combs, the next 8 weeks will bring several well-known names. Lead prosecutor is Maureen Comey, a veteran of the Southern District who helped secure a conviction against British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein. Comey is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey. If she can get Ghislaine Maxwell, P. Diddy's a goner. While Southern California celebrity Laura Mark Garagos is a representative, Combs' daughter, Tendon Garagos, is one of the attorneys representing the rapper, the elder Garagos. Half of the Two Angry Men podcast was recently chastised by the judge when he called the prosecutors a six-pack of white women. And lawyer Lisa Bloom, daughter of feminist attorney Gloria Allred, may be seen in the press as civil litigator representing some of these accusers. And then what to know about U.S. District Court Judge Arden Serenian. The judge who will be at the center of this trial is U.S. District Court Judge Arden Serenian. He's the first jurist of South Asian or Indian descent to sit on a bench of the Southern District of New York. Serenian was nominated to the Southern District by President Joe Biden in 2022 and confirmed by the U.S. Senate 59-37 on March 7, 2023. The Columbia Law School grad once clerk for U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Damn. Ooh, a lot happened. I'm signing off for now, Brian. I have to type somewhere for tomorrow. Good night, my friend. Oh, I say lock him up and toss away a key in the Atlantic. Good night. Good night, my friend. Love you as always. We're going to take a little commercial break. We'll be back with more. We are live on tour. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll be back right after this.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward,
with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
In Disney's 102-year history, there have been many defining moments and countless achievements. Today, we celebrate another thrilling moment, the creation of a spectacular new Disney theme park resort coming to Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi is a place where heritage meets innovation, a place where we preserve our past while designing the future.
Bringing a Disney theme park resort to Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, marks a historic milestone in our journey as a global family destination.
The 7th Disney theme park resort destination represents a new frontier in theme park ambitions. Our resort in Abu Dhabi will be the most advanced and interactive destination in our entire portfolio. The location of our park is incredibly unique. It's anchored by a beautiful waterfront, which will allow us to tell our stories in completely new ways. Ultimately, this project will be a celebration of what's possible when creativity and progress come together.
What we are creating with Disney in Abu Dhabi is a whole new world of imagination, an experience that will inspire generations across the region and the world.
This collaboration represents a powerful fusion of Disney's unmatched legacy in storytelling and Mirar's commitment to bringing world-class entertainment to our guests.
Abu Dhabi's vision for the future is to create a legacy for generations to come.
Disneyland Abu Dhabi will be authentically Disney and distinctly Emirati. An oasis of extraordinary Disney entertainment at this crossroads of the world. It will bring to life our timeless characters and stories in many new ways, becoming a source of joy and inspiration for the people of this vast region to enjoy for generations to come.
I got a question for you. What does this city know about luxury? Huh? What does a town that's been to hell and back know about the finer things in life? Well, I'll tell you, more than most. You see, it's the hottest fires that make the hardest steel. Add hard work and conviction, and the know-how that runs generations deep in every last one of us. That's who we are. That's our story. Now, it's probably not the one you've been reading in papers, the one being written by folks who've never even been here and don't know what we're capable of. Because when it comes to luxury, it's as much about where it's from as who it's for. Now, we're from America, but this isn't New York City, or the Windy City, or Sin City, and we're certainly no one's Emerald City.
This is the Motor City, and this is what we do.
Just look at him. Politician, general, author, ruler, man. Legend has it, he's not only stared into the belly of the beast, he's had it for dinner. Here he's free to relax, or party, or relax, or party, or relax, and party. His is a world of opulence, excess, and the occasional impulse buy. Not one to rest on his laurels, he's famous for ushering in a new age of entertainment. So, for anyone seeking a place where the sun never sets on a good time, all this awaits.
I am Caesar, and I approve this palace.
loving it.
Be all right back. Welcome back in to Braylon's Virtual Tour Live. Just catching you up with what is going on around here with this case. Just to show you here from People Magazine some of the same updates right here. Lord Jesus here. According to the indictment, Combs used a range of controlled substances during parties to keep victims compliant. At times, filed their knowledge, prosecutors described him as the leader of a violent enterprise linked to allegations of kidnapping, arson, drug offenses, widespread sexual abuse. Combs had pled not guilty as conference before his trial. Combs' attorney Mark Fellow said that his client was a swinger but not a sexual player. According to Reuters and ABC News, there's a lifestyle call it swingers that he was in that he thought was appropriate. And Finello said, according to ABC, the reason he thought it was appropriate because it's so common. Diddy's daughters left courtroom during sexually explicit testimony. During Daniel Phillips' testimony describing the sexual encounter with Ventura and Combs' music moguls, 3 daughters exited the courtroom. The daughters Chance Delilah and Jesse Combs re-entered the courtroom before leaving. Again, later when Vale Combs appeared to assault Ventura was shown to the court, daughters and Janice Combs, the mogul's mother, looked straight ahead rather than at the Vale Combs' son, Justin Combs. Christian Combs, Quincy Brown did watch the video. So like I said, I'll show y'all some more. Here's a new update here. Diddy claimed that he was in import-export business. Male escort testifies. The second witness to testify at Combs' trial was Daniel Phillip, a male sex worker who says Ventura paid him for sex. Phillips said he initially believed he was being hired to strip a bachelorette party at Gramercy Park Hotel in New York. Combs was in the room. Phillips testified wearing a white robe, bandana over his face, and a baseball cap. Phillips said the Bad Boy Records founder introduced himself as being important, exporting business, and said that he was having sex. And while he was having sex with Ventura, Combs sat in the corner and masturbated. So it's interesting because the defense said that he was not doing, sex trafficking, but importing and exporting business. What type of business were you doing? Right. So I think that question was said. By the way, shout out to the court artists for really getting the energy of the courtroom. Some of these were already what you heard. There's the family going into the courtroom there. Oh, Lord Jesus. So right here, why you won't be able to watch the trial inside the courtroom. Right here, from USA Today. Come on now, work with me, not against me, please. Oh my Lord. Okay. I'm gonna be so late for the odds. Hey everybody, sorry about that. StreamYard went out. Whenever that ends up happening, I will be back, okay? Just know that. And I hate when StreamYard does that shit. I fucking hate it. Because you don't know when it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? And just yeah, it's just crazy, child. Sorry about that. Let me get, where were we? We were on USA Today. Yep, we're on USA Today. Sorry about that, y'all. It just went out. Okay. So right here, Diddy's trial live stream, why you won't be able to watch inside the courtroom. As the trial of Sean Diddy Combs move into open arguments, curious court watchers may be disappointed to learn that following the play-by-play isn't as simple as tuning to the live stream. Unlike several other similarly high-profile trials like that Johnny Depp or O.J. Simpson, these proceedings will not be televised. So, eager eyes will have to rely on courtroom sketches and report dispatches from inside for their own feeds. So, why have cameras been shut out of the courtroom? Is the trial available on live stream? No. Turn off that court TV stream. No video snippets of the Combs trial are coming because Combs faces federal charges. The presence of electronic media is expressly banned by procedural rule passed in 1946. Damn! 1946. Good Lord Jesus. Entitled Federal Rule Criminal Procedure 53 statute bars both photographs and broadcasting from the courtroom of a federal criminal trial. R. Kelly's federal criminal trial, similar charges was not also televised. So basically, if you do try to stream the court trial through, blockchain or encrypted or anything, you can't. They could decode that, right? So that's why it's not being aired. Oh my Lord Jesus, this is just crazy. So right here, a man testified that he was paid thousands to have sex with Cassie as Diddy watched until something turned him off. Right here, male sex worker testified at Sean Diddy Combs' trial that he was paid thousands of dollars to have sex with Cassie Ventura while the music mogul watched and relieved himself. Right here, Philip was paid many times to have sex with Cassie, receiving up to $6,000 per encounter, with Combs sometimes giving instructions to the pair or filming. One time, Philip told jurors Ventura even asked him to urinate on her. Cassie was actually the one that asked me to urinate on her. Philip recalled, she asked me if I had done that before. She told me to do it. Apparently, I was doing it wrong because they both told me. The arrangement continued, Phillips said, until he witnessed Combs became violent with Ventura, leading him to experience erectile dysfunction for the first time. My thoughts were this was someone that had unlimited power. He testified, and chances are that even if I did go to the police, I still might lose my life. Yeah. Urinated. It's a damn shame. It's just Sorry, yeah. Yeah. So basically, urinated on her, but in her mouth. Yeah. In her mouth. No joke. Here it is from TMZ. In her mouth. I know People Magazine was trying to be clean about it. This is fucking disgusting. Jesus. So there's a video that I have here from ABC News here. So let me get that up for you in one moment.
I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us. The highly anticipated trial against Sean Diddy Combs is now underway. It was a whirlwind day. A jury was seated. Opening statements were delivered, and the first two witnesses, a male escort and a former security guard, were called. More on their testimony in a moment. There are no cameras allowed in court, but our ABC News team was inside watching, listening to it all. Prosecutors didn't hold back, laying out the government's case against one of the biggest names in entertainment. They say the public knew Sean Combs as Puff Daddy or Diddy, a businessman, larger than life. But prosecutors argued there was a darker side to him, saying he used his trusted inner circle to run a criminal enterprise for decades, painting a picture of a controlling, manipulative, and violent Combs who allegedly forced victims into days-long drug-fueled sexual encounters that prosecutors called freak-offs or wild king nights. The defense argued Combs is a complicated man, but said this is not a complicated case. His lawyer pointing to that disturbing video of Combs dragging and kicking then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, admitting it shows domestic violence, but arguing it is not evidence of sex trafficking. Sitting behind Combs today, his mother and children, all seen arriving at court, supporting Combs as he faces 5 counts, including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Combs faces a potential life sentence. He has denied all of these allegations. A jury of 8 men and 4 women will decide his fate. We'll break down what we know about each of them. There is a lot to get to after a jam-packed day in court. I want to get right to Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky, who was in court for this first official day of the trial. Aaron, opening statements began today. Break down these arguments for us.
They really set the tone for the entire case. You mentioned the kind of Jekyll and Hyde portrayal by prosecutors, someone that the world came to know as Puffy or Puff or Puff Daddy or Diddy or Love, somebody who was larger than life, who was a mogul in multiple industries, and yet who had a darker side. A lot of celebrities have an entourage around them, Eva, but Sean Combs, according to federal prosecutors in their opening statement, operated as a criminal enterprise with trusted insiders whose goal was to coerce women into these drug-fueled sex performances. Some of them, prosecutors said, lasted for days and were referred to by Combs as freak-offs or wild king nights. And the defense sought to downplay these episodes, calling them the consensual threesomes of a celebrity who led a swingers lifestyle. And though they conceded that Combs could be violent with women, even women that he loved and was in a relationship with, they said he's not charged with being violent. He's not charged with domestic violence, with assault even. They said he's charged with sex trafficking in what's depicted on the video in the Los Angeles hotel from 2016. And in other episodes, they say may show Combs being violent, but doesn't show him being a sex trafficker. And they say it wasn't part of any racketeering conspiracy as alleged.
And we saw Sean Combs' family going into court today. Did he interact with them at all?
He did, right from the start. He came into court, Eva, all smiles as his eyes immediately locked on to his family seated in the second row, his sons and daughters, his mom, all there to support him. He blew them kisses in court, made gestures across his heart. But once the opening statements began, Combs was much more dispassionate. At one point, as a man who says he was paid to have sex with Cassie Ventura while Sean Combs sat in the corner masturbating, Combs pushed his chair away from the defense table. His arms went down and he crossed his legs, listening impassively to all of this. At that point, when the male escort was testifying, his daughters left the room.
The first witness, former Intercontinental Hotel security guard Israel Flores, testified about responding to that now infamous incident, speaking with Combs and his ex-girlfriend, a key witness in this case, Cassie Ventura. How did Flores describe that day?
He set the tone by immediately, as the first witness, taking jurors back to 2016. It was March 5th when Flores said he responded to a call from hotel staff of a woman in distress on the 6th floor. He goes up the elevator. He sees Sean Combs sitting in a chair with what he described as a devilish stare, and Cassie Ventura clearly shaken. And he walked the jury through hotel security footage. Some of it that the prosecutors played outright, some of it that Flores had captured on his phone, and it shows the detail of what occurred. There is Cassie. She's in blue pants and a hoodie. She's not wearing any socks. She reaches into a bag at the elevator, and as she's putting on her socks, Combs comes barreling around the corner, knocks her down from behind, stomps on her, and the episode continues from there.
And Aaron, I have to ask you, we are seeing these sketches of Diddy in court. He looks very different than how many may remember him appearing. Tell us how he looks.
Well, he's certainly much grayer. You know, we've seen him that way over his last few court appearances, but people who may be, tuning in and seeing him for the first time here at the onset of trial, he's not allowed to color his hair in jail while he's incarcerated, so he's gone gray, both his hair and his beard. He's thinner than we saw him, certainly than when he was first arrested, much less bloated than he appeared at that September date. And he is right now impassive, as prosecutors have control, describing what they say he did.
Aaron Katersky for us there. Aaron, thank you so much. Let's dig in deeper on who is in this 12-person jury that could decide the fate of Sean Combs, as well as the legal teams involved in this high-profile case. Here to break it all down for us is ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer, who's worked as a defense attorney here in New York City. You've also closely been following this case. You were in the courtroom today. Let's talk about this jury. 8 men, 4 women. What do we know about them?
So yeah, we actually know a lot. And as you pointed out, 8 men, and these are some of them. We know some of their jobs: massage therapists, retired telephone linemen. But aside from gender and employment, the other thing I want to focus on is age.
Sorry.
We have a number of individuals who
Jack,
are over the age of 50. And the reason why I point that out is 2 things. One, it's pretty understandable. This is going to be a case that's going to last for 8 weeks. You got to think about who can take that much time off. The other aspect of that as well is when you're talking about consent, we as defense attorneys seem to see a difference between young people and their understanding of consent and older people. So this may benefit the defense to some degree. And of course, we have the women here as well, 4 of them, and 1 age 74.
Why do you think these jurors were chosen?
So sometimes when it comes to choosing a jury, it's not just choosing who it is on the jury, it's eliminating those you don't want to be on the jury. For the defense, I think they believe that these are individuals that are not just going to be unbiased, but also maybe lean towards their favor. For the government, they believe that based on the answers that these individuals gave, they're going to be able to achieve that conviction. So either side thinks they see someone favorable in this group.
Let's talk about the legal teams here. Let's start with the defense team.
Yeah, so we have some big names that you may know. Mark Agnifilo, you might know him from the XM Defense, where he represents Keith Raniere. Tenny Garagos, the last name may be familiar there as well. Mark Garagos' daughter. Alexander Shapiro is one of the appellate attorneys. And then here are some names that you might not know, or you may. Brian Steele, a bit of a famous defense attorney in Georgia, made even more famous in his defense of Young Thug. And Xavier Donaldson, a defense attorney who is very well known within the Southern District of New York here, as well as Manhattan, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. Anna, Jason, and Linda all rounding out the team as well and supporting the defense of Sean Combs.
Okay, now we have to talk about the prosecution. This is the Southern District of New York. I mean, they have a crazy high conviction rate. What can you tell us about this team?
So I know about the Southern District of New York, both as a contributor and as a defense attorney. Yes, conviction rate about 90-95%. So we have the interim U.S. Attorney, Jay Clayton. He's not actually at the defense table, obviously the prosecution table, but he is the head of the Southern District of New York. And then you have other prosecutors as well. But I want to skip down just real quick because you might recognize the name, Maureen Comey. She's actually one of the lead government prosecutors in this case, the daughter of James Comey. And this is an all-women's team here. I don't think that was an accident, but it seems very powerful when they're arguing the case, when there are so many female alleged victims in this trial.
Yeah, let's talk about who we heard from today, a male escort, a former security guard. What does this tell you, if anything, about the prosecution's plan here?
Two things. One, they're laying the foundation for someone very important to testify. They want that video in, and they also want the individual who was allegedly forced to have sex with that male escort to be able to testify as to that event, that being Cassie. We believe, or I think it's probably easy to assume, that she'll be testifying, if not first thing tomorrow morning, then at some point in time tomorrow. Now, that could be, in essence, to kind of like a strong, powerful witness. This is, as the prosecutor says, victim number one, but also could just be logistics, because we know that she is pregnant, very much so, and they might want to just let her get in, out, and get out as quickly as well.
Yeah, also you can't travel too late into your pregnancy, one of those things that we all know about. Today, Cassie Ventura's husband was actually seen leaving the courthouse. Tomorrow, we're expected to see her possibly taking the stand herself. That's pretty early in a case, right?
So it depends on the strategy. I can see why that would be perceived early. This is supposed to be the star witness. Why wouldn't you want to lay the groundwork for more evidence first before you have the major witness? But when it comes to convincing people, convincing a jury, oftentimes recency, meaning getting that information out there first, and frequency, how often you talk about it, is a great way to lock in that information to a jury. And of course,
and also too, let me say this. Even though they could use Cassie for the end of this trial, I'm just thinking from a media point of view here, because media is the foundation of how we see all of our destinations. If they utilize Cassie in the beginning, then guess what? Everything has to correlate back to Cassie, right? So now you can't really leave what Cassie said out of the trial. And that can lead to a guilty verdict.
Timing, life for her means that it has to start sooner rather than later.
Brian Buckmeyer, always helpful. Thank you so much.
My
As
pleasure.
Brian mentioned, the 12 New Yorkers selected for this jury will spend weeks in the courtroom hearing evidence from both sides. And joining me right now is Eric Rudish. He's not part of this trial, but he has spent decades researching juries with attorneys as a jury consultant. Now, we know, Eric, from court records that Diddy's team is using a jury consultant. When you work on a trial like this one, how much do you really know about these jurors?
Well, you try to find out as much as you can, certainly. So based on the 12 jurors, the information we have, in addition to gender and age, as a jury consultant, we're also looking at their occupation. So are they going to approach this case more from an emotional standpoint or an analytical standpoint? And based on the 12 jurors' occupations, there are several jurors that are good for the prosecution. There's a social worker, there's someone who works at a nonprofit, there's someone who works at a nursing home. But there are also more analytical jurors who are more likely to scrutinize the evidence, such as an investment analyst, a logistic analyst, and even a scientist.
Let's drill down into that a little bit more, since you were talking about their jobs and the jobs that they have. How do attorneys use that information as they make their arguments to play to these ideas that they have about these jurors?
So it's a very emotionally charged case, and the prosecution is certainly going to use that, the emotional element to help, prosecute their case. For the defense, they want jurors to separate the emotional aspect of the case, and you saw it from up front. The one theme is that whatever Sean Combs' actions were, it's separate from the charges that are being brought forth against him. So you want someone who could separate the emotional aspect about this case from the from the evidence, or how they will approach the charges,
talking about Diddy,
whether or not they feel that John Combs is
first day
guilty.
Eric Rudish, thank you so much for joining us today. Well, still ahead, the defense and prosecution gave an overview of their cases today. What does that reveal about possible strategies, and how might they play with the jury? We break down the arguments next. Back now to the case against Sean Combs. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer is back with us. Also joining us, attorney and legal analyst Ebony K. Williams. Brian, let's start with you. You were in court today.
Girl.
What did you think of the prosecution's opening statements? Do you think it was compelling for a jury?
Oh, very compelling. I think it was good in the sense it was just under an hour, so I don't think people really drifted away. They were able to stay focused, start off with some good themes and also some good examples, talking about a night in which Sean Combs heard allegedly that Cassie was with another man, got an employee up at the middle of the night at gunpoint, and a security guard rushed this person's house, broke in, and laid out how these intricate examples of Sean Combs flying off the handle, as they seemingly described, were parts of this racketeering conspiracy, that he had this inner circle that helped facilitate not only every want and need that he wanted, including these freak offs, but also how he used them to control individuals around him, marching through each and every one of the elements in this case. It was easy to follow and very compelling.
Ebony, what do you think of the defense's strategy?
Yeah, I think the defense did a lot of the things that they needed to do by way of conceding some obvious points, right? You can't tell this newly sat jury of 12 that you didn't see what you saw on that tape, that horrific, traumatic, violent tape of Sean Combs violently attacking Cassie Ventura. So I think the defense was smart to say, hey, if we were here for domestic violence, we wouldn't be here. He absolutely committed that act. He did some horrible things. He might even be perceived by many of you as a bad person, but it's not against the law to be a bad person. My client is not being charged with domestic violence in this particular matter. Thus, this is a not guilty verdict. That's their argument.
But do you think it's problematic they admitted basically that?
No, I think they had to, Eva. I think, preserving credibility is going to be so key for both the prosecution and defense, right? So they had to try to earn some level of truth-telling points, if you will, with this jury. And I think they were able to do that by admitting the very, very obvious things we know so far.
Okay. So Brian, as a defense attorney, obviously they're going to be trying to poke holes in the prosecution's case. Do you think they're going to lean into that?
I think that's the case. As Ebony laid out, you have to admit to some degree to garner credibility. You can't go and look at that video and be like, well, that's AI. That's not really our client doing that. And I think there's a strength in saying he is guilty of some things, but he's not guilty of anything. And I think Tenny Garagos, the defense attorney who did the opening statement, a very well-reasoned, well-argued opening statement, said it's not about whether or not he's a bad person, it's whether or not the government or the prosecution has proven their case. And these are the allegations, these are the charges, these are the elements, and juxtaposing and saying this is domestic violence, this isn't coercion, going to the heart of what sex trafficking and racketeering is, saying it's not this, it's this is what he's charged with, not this, not guilty. I think it was the only argument that could be made.
Okay, the name of the show is called Burden of Proof, Ebony. So what is the burden here?
Yeah, it's a clear and very, very difficult one, actually, if you're the prosecution. They have to prove beyond any reasonable doubt, keyword, there is a reasonable doubt, that Sean Combs is guilty of everything Brian laid out, from the racketeering, the coercion, the sex trafficking, and all of it. And, they're going to have a lot of elements to meet. And again, the more the defense can convince that this is one private citizen's sexual proclivities that may be out of bounds to us, you and I, common man and woman, but this is within his legal right and it's not against the law to have these sexual preferences. The more they can make that, the prosecution is further and further from their burden of proof. But
I will say this to Ebony K. Williams. That is going to be a critical point in this trial, but this is not about sexuality. This is about power. But I get why Ebony K. Williams is breaking it down that way, because the defense and the defense and the prosecution both have to find a lane on this highway and drive in it. If they're going to cross lanes, they got to do it when it's time to move on to another on-ramp, to use a metaphor. Okay, back to the video.
As also Brian said, the prosecution could successfully land the plane of connecting dots, right, between sexual assaultive behavior, physically abusive behavior, and individuals. That's going to be key, right? Other individuals working in connection and in collaboration with Sean Combs to execute that under coercive measures. That is how you get to guilty.
Ebony K. Williams, Brian Buckmeyer, thank you both so much. Coming up, a music mogul on trial, the cultural impact and public perception as Diddy's trial begins and his former girlfriend prepares to take the stand. It's no surprise there's extreme public interest around the world in the Diddy trial as testimony gets underway. So what are people saying? For that, we turn to Kelly Carter, who covers entertainment and pop culture for us. Kelly, we heard it from prosecutors how Combs created this empire and that the public saw him as a larger-than-life cultural icon. Yet prosecutors say there was this other side to him. He's pleaded not guilty to all the charges. The interest is crazy, though. We've got to talk about the lines outside the federal courthouse this morning. Our Aaron Katersky said it was more than a block long. One guy was in the front of the line trying to scalp his seat for $350. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
I have never heard of such a thing as someone trying to scalp a ticket to go inside of a courtroom. I have seen, and we all have seen, fandom, line up with signs in support of people. I remember covering that 2009 Chris Brown assault case out here in Los Angeles, and I was met with just hundreds of fans who were outside with those fans in support, with signs in support of Chris Brown, but never someone waiting in line trying to pawn off a ticket as if this is Star Wars. This is something we've never seen before.
I'm curious, too, when it comes to Diddy's public image, does the verdict in this trial really matter, or is the damage to his reputation already done?
I think the damage is significant. And quite frankly, I think that the court of public opinion is ultimately going to weigh so heavily, if he is found not guilty of these charges. I don't think that we should all imagine a world where he goes back to business as usual, because I think we know too much. And that's kind of the sentiment, I think, of a lot of people who've been paying attention to today's testimony and who read anything going into today's testimony. We know too much, and people are going to have very strong feelings about the things that they've discovered about him.
Right. Kelly Carter, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Burden of Proof, the case against Diddy. We'll be back with new episodes every day of the trial, bringing you the latest from the courtroom, plus live analysis from experts and contributors. The show streams right here on ABC News Live, Disney Plus, and Hulu at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm Eva Pilgrim. Have a good night.
Thank you, Eva Pilgrim, there for that recap there. I'm going to turn off my camera now because we done a whole show for over an hour. Yes, we have. Like I said, it's the first day. 8 to 10 weeks this trial is going to be happening. Now, of course, this is not a Diddy channel, ladies and gentlemen, but we are a cultural channel. So, if anything is relevant, if there is anything significant, we will definitely do Diddy updates. One of my good friends said to me, well, maybe you can do like a Friday recap of the week that was. So that might also be an option. I think at this point, like I said in my thumbnail, this case is garbage and a lot is about to be dumped out. Do you hear me? A lot is about to be dumped out. A lot is about to be dumped out. And when I said that it was going to be court TV, I truly mean that it's going to be court TV, not so much for the live streaming, right, of video, right? But it's going to be court TV of the fact of the coverage of this is going to be on everyone's channel. So there will be some new YouTubers to make this case their channel. And you gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them, and know when to walk away and run, because this is going to be a very, very, very fast moving cultural event. This is going to be one of those events where, remember when R. Kelly, right, got the guilty verdict, right? It was one of those moments of where were you when R. Kelly got the guilty verdict? So that's where I am with it. So yeah. To the 4 people here, what are you thinking about the first day of the case? Do you think that this is a guilty case, or do you think that maybe there might be a smoking pal that we don't know about yet? What do you think? I'll let you guys type in the live chat for a little bit before I head out here. But like I said, it's definitely going to be a one-on-one trial for sure. And I think there's a lot here that really could get him handled for sure. So I'll wait till the 150 mark. And if nobody has anything to say after that, then we will head on out of here. Oh my Lord. Man. I thought Beyond the Gates was going to be something. Yeah, child. Oh my Lord. So yep, let's see here. Almost there to 1 hour and 50 minutes. Like I said, I'm leaving some room for y'all to put your thoughts in the live chat here. This was the first day of the trial. Opening statements were made by the prosecution and the defense. I think both sides have a point. I think, the prosecution to say what they said of he has a pattern of behavior is a good defense in so many words. And then I think with the defense of this is not a trial of morality. This is a trial of is he guilty or not? But the problem is if the evidence turns out that he is guilty, then that mindset falls flat on its face. And believe me, there's a lot more wanting Diddy down than for him to rise up. That is what I'm seeing from my media point of view here with this case. So it looks like nobody has anything to say as we get to 1 hour and 50 minutes here. So I want to thank each and every single one of you for being here. Like I said, we are not a Diddy channel for anybody who is new. We cover what's happening in, of, and around the culture. We talk about what the majority of the culture is talking about outside. We talk about what the minority of the culture is talking about inside. And then somehow we come together in the middle of this virtual time square that we call social media. And we try to navigate this square with love, grace, and space. So that being said, everybody, it's time for the best outro on YouTube. Know what you do and do what you know. Never say you weren't born special, because you were always born a blessing, and trust you may not be where you want to be, but by the end of it, you'll be where you need to be. Do what you've been chosen to do. Why is one thing to call yourself, is another thing to be chosen. One love, much love, all love. I have spent time with you. You have spent time with me. And hopefully by spending time together, we'll rise to be great together. Always remember where you do radio, television, YouTube, living your best life, or you are recognizing that history can be for your benefit and to your detriment. Make sure the replay is not just for you to watch it, not just for you to listen to it, but for you want to experience it again. I love you. I value you. I embrace you all, and I will see you real soon. Good night, everybody. Ooh, Lordy. Lord. Like I said, everybody, just get in the roller coaster pull the handlebars, or pull the harness, and hold on for the next 8 to 10 weeks. There will be corkscrews. There will be launches and the G-force energy of this trial. And this was just the first day. Urination was the biggest thing. There is definitely more to come. I'll see you all very soon. Good night.
I thought I should tell you they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that they have undermined your success and they have tried to sabotage your seasons, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you. And you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner. I thought I should tell you.
Here you leave today and enter a world of
Mickey Mouse! A world of princesses.
A world of villains.
And heroes.
Raise your sabers!
A world of other worlds.
A world of all the favorites.
A world of throwbacks. A world of
For whatever you love, infinite worlds await. Prepare for a journey beyond imagination, beyond belief, beyond anything you've experienced before. Universal Epic Universe, a new theme park where you'll step through extraordinary portals to 5 immersive worlds. Prepare for a cosmic voyage of discovery, an isle of fire-breathing excitement, a shadowy world of monsters and mystery, new wonders in the wizarding world, and a new way to play. Plus the splendor of a magnificent resort hotel overlooking the park. It's all new excitement at Universal Orlando Resort. A week's worth of vacation thrills with 4 amazing theme parks, a variety of spectacular themed hotels, and incredible dining and entertainment. It's all at Universal Orlando Resort, where you'll find new adventures every day. Explore the astonishing worlds of Universal Epic Universe at Universal Orlando Resort.